AutoReview. My name is Patrick and today I'm presenting you the 2017 Fiat Tipo in the 5-door hatchback configuration. So the Tipo comes in 3 different models: limousine, 5-door hatchback and station wagon, and has 2 diesel engines or 2 petrol engines choice, a 95 horsepower petrol or 120 horsepower petrol engine, and a 95 horsepower and 120 horsepower diesel engine. The only automatic version is available only in the 120 horsepower diesel version. Here we have the 1.4 liter T-Jet producing 120 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, maximum torque of 215 Newton meters at 2,500 RPM, 0 to 100 in 9.6 seconds, top speed 200 kilometers an hour, and we have here a 6-speed manual gearbox. As usual, I'll show you the car from first row, second row, the boot space. Then we hit the road and I'll tell you what I think about the car. Enjoy! Okay, so the Tipo from inside, and I have been positively surprised when I actually got the car, because this car is really spacious. The seat is now on the lowest position possible. I am 184 tall and you can see I have still plenty of headroom. I have a lot of knee room I have, as well as shoulder and arm room. From the materials used, on top we have here soft touch plastic. We have a leather wrapped steering wheel in the Lounge edition, so it comes in 3 different trim levels: Pop, Popstar and Lounge. Lounge is the highest, which we have here. And then here we have plastic, here we have material, plastic there, plastic on top, and here as well hard plastic in the center console. Steering wheel we can adjust in reach and rake, which is good. The seat is adjustable in height in this version, and we have a few systems here on board, or a few extras on board, which are really nice, and something as well for this class very good. But we start from left to right as usual. So we have electric windows in the front with the one-touch function, but only in the front has the automatic, and only down as well. So if you want to bring it up, you have to keep them hold to bring the windows up again. We have electric mirrors which are heated as well. Then we have fog lights in the front and the back. We have ESP on and off and tire pressure sensors. Then, as I mentioned, steering wheel leather wrapped on the left side to scroll through the menu, which is the screen in the middle. Then the buttons for the telephone. On the right side we have the speed limiter and cruise control, and which is something really great, and I enjoyed having that while test driving it, we have adaptive cruise control. So we have a front radar that keeps safe distance to the car in front, and the system works superb. Then obviously we have auto lights, we have auto wipers, dashboard. If you look at it, on the left side we have the speedo, on the right side the RPM, and in the middle we have the screen to go through different settings of the car, which shows us the speed we're driving, the possible distance, trip A, trip B, and so on. Plus the drive assist systems like the radar, for example, how far we have set, actual fuel consumption, tire pressure sensor, oil temperature, battery, when the next service is due, DEB radio, navigation, and a few more things. Then in the middle we have a 7-inch Uconnect touchscreen that is based on a TomTom navigation. So one thing I had an issue with is actually the speed of the system, because if you see when I press it, it takes a little bit time to actually go to the setting I want. So it has quite a long lag. Radio is fine, works well. Speakers are okay, but you're not gonna win a prize with this one. Ventilation for the air conditioning. Then we have a city button for the steering wheel to make it a little bit lighter. It doesn't get more direct, it just is supported a little bit more. On the steering as well, on the back side, we have rockers for the volume on the right side, and on the left side to switch from channel to channel. Start stop we can turn on and off. Hazard light in the middle, and a lock button for the doors. On the bottom here we have the air condition, which is a 1-zone air conditioning. Very nice big knobs to turn, very easy to use. One level down, this car comes with a cigarette lighter, because this has a smoker's package installed, aux in, as well as a USB port, plus quite a deep pocket to put, for example, your phone, your wallet, whatsoever. Then we have a 6-speed manual gearbox with the reverse gear on the front top left, We have a reverse camera that shows as well the lines. However, it's kind of pixelated and doesn't show very clear, but it's still helpful in addition to the parking sensors we have, and that is being displayed in the middle screen here. Manual handbrake, again I mentioned this one is the smoker's package, so it comes with an ashtray. However, I would say if it doesn't come with a cigarette lighter but a 12-volt power socket, skip the 50 francs and you don't need it. You shouldn't smoke in the car either way. So 2 cup holders which work well and they are quite firm. Then we have an armrest which you can extend to the front, which is very nice because then you can actually really rest your arm on it. And below that we have a compartment which is quite deep where you can put more items that you want to hide from people looking inside the car. Glove box is a decent size, not too small, not too big. However, it's not cool to anything in this way. Seats are very comfortable. I really enjoy driving this car with the adaptive cruise control and the seats because I find them firm, which is really good if you drive long distance. The rear mirror has a sensor which dims itself in the evening so you don't get blinded by the driver behind you. We have illuminated mirrors for driver and passenger in the sunshades, and obviously we have the light as well here with the reading light separately. One nice feature, nice touch, we actually have a handle for the driver, which usually doesn't happen. So that's for the front. Let's check the second row and see how much space we have there. Okay, so Tipo from the back. Front seat is adjusted to me. As I mentioned, I'm 184 tall. You can see I'm not touching it, the ceiling. So I guess up to 185 is fine. We have the pockets in the back seats. And you can see the doors open nearly 90 degrees, so it's very easy to get in and out. Then we have the electric windows, which go down all the way. As I mentioned already, however, you have to keep them hold to go down and up. And they have no sensor to basically stop when there's, for example, arm of a child or something in between. So you have to be careful when you have children in the back. Well, a little pocket in the door to put a drink on something. Nothing in the middle really. Reading light or a light basically when you open the doors. The headrest goes to decent size. It's okay for me. And as well a handle to grab onto, a little hook that you can separately fold down. And that's it. Isofix on outer seats. Comfortable, spacious. Transmission tunnel is pretty low, so you can put the feet actually in the middle as well for a person sitting here. And good to go. Let's check the boot. So Tipo from the back. So what do we see? We have kind of a spoiler that continues a little bit further with the third brake light in the middle. Wiper. Then I do like the sleek headlights, red and white, look good. Quite a massive bumper if you look at it from the back. Then Tipo writing on the right, Fiat in the middle. Once you open it up, you have the reverse camera and the parking sensor you can see as well. However, one thing that you can see as well is that the back door is pretty heavy, or the boot door, and the lifters, even though we have 2 on both sides, struggle a little bit to bring the boot up. So boot cover, then we have quite a big compartment for the luggage, 440 liters, but the loading height is pretty high and you basically have to bring it down again so it's not flat. And when you actually fold down the seats, which you can only do from the front, we do not have a flat surface, so you have actually a step and it's pointing up as well, so it's not flat. However, we have a second boot space below. There is no spare wheel. We have a compressor kit in there, so you can put some smaller items in as well. Hooks on the right and left. 12-volt power socket in the boot, plus 1 light. That's pretty much it. Let's close it up and let's hit the road. Okay, so let's drive the Tipo. And why I was hiding there? Because the whole day it was raining, it stopped, started, so I had to hide below there. Let's go on a B road and then we're gonna go on the highway so I can show you the adaptive radar system. What we have as well is a shift indicator that actually tells you to shift up or down. And it's actually very sensitive in regards to fuel consumption because it wants you to shift at every 10 kilometer steps basically. Second and 20, third 30, fourth 40, fifth 50, sixth 60. It's good. I like it because it will save you fuel. So we have the adaptive cruise control. However, it's a little bit stupid complicated how Fiat did it, because you can either turn on the cruise control without the radar by just pressing the cruise control button here and then set it basically. But if you want the adaptive cruise control, you have to press the adaptive cruise control button first, or basically the left one here, AC ready, then you press set, and then you have the ACC. So just keep that in mind, that you're not gonna think the car will be in ACC or adaptive cruise control directly. However, once you set it, it works very well. We have 1 kilometer steps, or if you press it longer, 10 kilometer steps, which I like as well. Drives pretty good. I like the setup of the suspension, which is not too sporty. I mean, it's not a sporty car. It's a little bit firmer. It's not super soft. But I think it's nice, especially when you drive a little bit faster through the corners, and this car has no issues whatsoever. Then, wind noise, you can hear a little bit on the left side here, obviously from the driver perspective, from the mirror. However, it's actually pretty quiet when I compare it to different cars. Now, we're gonna go in a moment 100, however it's gonna be up the mountain. One thing that I really liked is when you're in cruise control and you basically press higher, so from 80 to 100 now, we're gonna do it in a moment. So here's the sign. I'm gonna hold a little bit longer, now it's 100. It picks up pretty well, even though you're in 6th gear. Yeah, 88, 89, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously when we're in the, how we call this? We're not in elevation, it goes really quick. At the same time, it actually slows down quite fast when you're, for example, coming from a 100 zone into an 80 zone. I know cars, or I've tested cars where you basically put the speed down and actually it rolls forever before you reach it, so you can get actually into radar and get flashed if you do that. This will not happen, so you can drive pretty much up to the sign, put then the speed, and then it will slow down pretty quickly. Again, what I really like is this adaptive cruise control. It works perfectly. We're gonna have it in a moment, hopefully. Maybe this car will go in front of us and then it will slow down. However, it slows down quite abrupt, or how we call this, pretty quick. We have, as I mentioned, 4 settings: far, medium, less, and close. And when a car comes in front, it basically slows down a lot, so it doesn't get too close, which is good for safety, which can be a little bit annoying when you drive on the highway for longer. Now, GPS worked well. I used it yesterday. Again, sometimes it's difficult to actually go into the system and turn it off. I have usually the problem in few cars where you have to go into the menu. I wish they would have something like cancel route on the screen directly. Here we have 80 zones, so we have to be careful. So, 79, here we go. Nice touch. The adaptive cruise control car that is monitored in front is actually Fiat 500. So, the manual gearbox works well. The adaptive cruise control works up to 25 kilometers per hour, which is the lowest. If it goes below that, it will basically have a warning signal and it will turn off. So you can't use it in city traffic where it goes to still standard. Obviously, it doesn't work as well because you have a manual gearbox and you would have to shift. However, if you're driving in a 60 zone and then you shift up, it will memorize the ACC or the cruise control, and after you basically engage the gear, it will go back to the speed that you set. The screen in the middle as well looks a little bit funny because you have the one pointing this way, 0 is straight, and the other one on the side is this way, so if you have 3 digits. From the RPM at 100 kilometers an hour in 6th gear is 2,500. At 120 it's 3,000. So it's okay. I wish it would be a little bit lower if you would, for example, make the 6th gear much longer, so you would have even more fuel efficient driving. Fuel economy for this car. Actually, we're gonna go maybe a little bit in the city there to have a little bit of shifting as well. The fuel consumption I had, because I did quite a lot of highway. The lowest I went was 5.9. However, it was between 80 and 100 kilometers an hour. Once I went over 100 to 120, it basically picked up. And now I have, let me just see, 6.2 on over 170 kilometers I drove this car so far, which is not bad. Obviously, the car is little bit already driven, or has been already driven a little bit, and the average on that is 8.4. So if you're very reasonable like me and you try to keep the fuel consumption low and you're driving quite a lot of highways and B roads, I think 6.0 is very reasonable to reach. I had it most of the time. If you drive a little bit less careful, it will be 6.5. And we'll go that way because there's traffic jam. And if you're gonna go faster and you have more city traffic, it's gonna be something around 8. So anything between 6 to 8.5, I reckon, will be reasonable and achievable for everyone. So let's set the cruise control again. Like, as I mentioned, it's pretty direct, it's not bad. Now if you put the city in, it's even lighter. So you see, I can move the car with one finger. Here it becomes a little bit, well, stiffer, I would say, or less light. Let's turn back around. Turning circle is 11 meters if you want to turn, which is actually not bad. And acceleration, I mentioned 9.6 seconds to 100, which is pretty good as well. Now, what I miss in this car is the fact that you can't get xenon lights or LED lights. We have LED daylights, which look nice and sleek. However, for me, it's a big minus point that you can't even order on top the xenon lights or LED lights, because this for me is a safety feature, as is the adaptive cruise control, which is great, by the way. However, not having an option to upgrade the lights from halogen is a big minus point for me. Then the reverse camera is kind of pixelated. You don't have front parking sensors available, you can't get them. And according to my studies over the trim levels and which engine and transmission, there is no option to have the adaptive radar available with the diesel engine and the automatic. I don't know why. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. So if I want to have basically a perfect commuter car, which this car is, or as well a good family car, because you have plenty of space, you have ISOFIX on the back, you have a good boot space, then you have to basically opt either for the automatic diesel but without the adaptive cruise control. You have a normal cruise control, but you don't have the front radar, or you go for the manual transmission and then you have adaptive cruise control if you order this pack, because it's an additional pack that you have to order. And that is something I don't understand and I don't like, because a safety feature like this should be available even if you have to pay extra throughout the range of the cars. Now, which engine would I recommend to you? Now, at the moment in Europe, diesel is a topic, especially in Germany, Switzerland not that much yet. However, everywhere in Europe they're thinking about banning diesel engines from the cities, which in my point, stupid, but okay. But therefore you have to think, if you're driving a lot, I still recommend you take the diesel, especially the 120 horsepower one, because then you have more than 300 newton meters. I think it's 320 newton meters of torque, which is good. And fuel consumption, if I can manage this one to 6.0 on the highway on average, then obviously with the diesel you're going to end up with 4 point, maybe even 3 point something. However, if you have to go for a petrol engine, I do recommend you get the 120 horsepower one, which is this one. Don't go for the 95. I think that's going to be a little bit too less, or not enough to basically have enough power to accelerate the car on the highway and so on and so on. So, other than that, I really like this car. I was, as I mentioned, surprised about the space, and the ride quality is pretty good as well, I have to say. It's a very affordable car, very reasonable price as well. And something like this adaptive cruise control is great. Unfortunately, there are some missed opportunities. We have no lane departure assistance, so the car will go wherever it wants if you don't keep the steering wheel. We have no blind spot assistance, no parking sensors in the front. So these are a few things that there is improvement. Now, the speed of the screen and the menu is a little bit slow as well. But other than that, the car looks good, the build quality looks fine to me. Again, the materials are obviously more on the budget side. However, this car is supposed to be reasonable for for families to, or as a first car or whatever, because it is actually a good car. I enjoy driving it. Again, it will not give you driving pleasure in the sense of sports car or roadster or whatever. However, if you're thinking with the head and with the wallet, I highly can recommend this car to you. Now, which version would you go for? Would you go for the limousine, the hot hatch, I want to say hot hatch, the hatchback, or the station wagon? I personally prefer the station wagon because it looks nicer and you have obviously more boot space. However, it's the most expensive one as well. If you're really on the budget and you want to save money, you still need space, go for the limousine because it's going to be 1,000 francs less expensive than the hatchback. With that, I end this video here. I hope you enjoyed the review. I could give you some insight, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, like it, comment below, ask if you have any questions, and thanks again to Garage Gerber in Matten, who provided this car to me. The link is in the description. If you have any questions, just ring them up, check them out, visit them, and if you're interested in this car, go and test it yourself. Thanks a lot. See you next time.